My name is Heidi Kratzer, and this is a presentation for JGen 200 for Miss Julie Liska. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and my favorite part about this time of year is going outside and looking at the Christmas lights on all the trees in the houses. But have you ever stopped and thought about how these lights work? How do they function? What makes the light? Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how LEDs function. First I'm going to be talking about the p-n junction, which is how a basic diode works. And then I'm going to be talking about how LEDs use this junction in order to create the light. Then I'm going to be talking a little bit about how the benefits of using an LED over incandescent light bulbs. Now before I get too far into this, I want to define a couple of terms. Most importantly, an LED, this is short for a light emitting diode. I'll be referring to them in this speech as LEDs. Now I also want to talk a little bit about electrons. Electrons are subatomic particles which have a net intrinsic negative charge. This is important because the charge is what allows them to conduct electricity. We also need to talk a little bit about electron holes. An electron hole does not have a net charge in and of itself, but you can think of it as a placeholder where an electron could be but then isn't, so there's a hole there. So first we need to talk a little bit about the p-n junction. Now this is how a basic diode works. It's built on the premise of this p-n junction, where we have two different types of silicon. We have p-type and n-type. The p-type is where there is a greater concentration of holes than there are electrons. So there are more places for electrons to be than there are electrons to fill those places. And then we also have the n-type silicon. Now the n-type silicon is just the opposite. We have more electrons than we have places for them to go. So this is what makes this junction work. When these two types of silicon are put together, and then when a voltage is run across the junction, then recombination occurs. So this would be when the electrons are able to cross over and fill some of these holes that would be in the p-type. This is what causes a current to flow. Now what an LED does is the LEDs use this junction in order to create light. And they do this because there's a higher energy level in the electrons than there are in the holes. In order for recombination to occur, so in order for the electrons to fill these holes, the energy levels of the two must be the same. Now since these electrons have a higher energy level, they're going to have to dissipate some of this energy or let it go, and this energy is emitted as light and heat. This is how the LED works to create the light that you get to see. A few of the benefits of using these LEDs over incandescent lights are listed here. We have low energy usage. LEDs use about 1/10 of the energy that an incandescent light bulb would use. In addition, they have a much longer lifetime. If you've ever used LED light bulbs in your house, you know that you have to change the incandescent bulbs every couple of years because they burn out. LEDs don't burn out. Because of the way that they're created, they have a much longer lifetime. There's no filament that burns out at the end of 2 or 3 years. In addition, this means the LEDs are much lower maintenance because instead of having to change the light bulbs, you don't have to change them very often. Instead of, once every couple of years, you can just let them go and they'll function for much longer. A couple examples of LEDs that you see in everyday life. In my major, I'm an electrical engineer, we see these kinds of LEDs, and this would be the kind that you use if you're wanting to create your own circuit and do your own experiments. In addition, we also see LEDs in a lot of lighted up billboards, as well as some of our stoplights. If you notice, instead of one big bulb, there are several little ones. It looks like instead of one big bulb. And these are also going to be LEDs. In conclusion, today we've seen how the diodes work, the basis of the p-n junction. We've also seen how LEDs use this p-n junction in order to emit light, and we get to see it. And then lastly, we saw a few of the benefits of using LEDs over regular incandescent light bulbs. So next time you go outside and see Christmas lights, you'll have a little bit of a basic idea of how these lights work. Thank you.